All right, I'm feeling a little bit spicy today because I've seen so many firms killing their opportunities with prospects and creating a difficult time for their team knowing how to serve their clients really well because they don't have clarity around the services that they offer. Can you imagine going to a restaurant without a menu? You're sitting down, you're asking for the food, and the waiter's like, well, what do you feel like today? I'm sure we could figure something out. We've got food here, we've got chefs, we've got sous chefs. We can make something that we think you might like. You know, it sounds crazy, but that's exactly how so many firms approach their service offerings. They're unclear, they're inconsistent, and kind of exhausting for the client and for the team. That results in a ton of lost opportunity, scope creep, frustrated teams, and possibly confused clients. So in 2025, I think it's imperative for CAS practices to have a crystal clear view as to what services they offer, how do they offer them, and then clarity on how that will be served. In 2025, I see so many firms do this. They've got the we do it all mentality, but for too long, CAS firms has kind of prided themselves on their flexibility. It's the belief that, hey, we'll do whatever the client needs. It's really challenging to operate in that way. And that's why you've seen the pilots and not bench anymore, but you've seen these productized approaches have very clear expectations and menu-based pricing because that's exactly what you get. Now, it isn't very flexible, and when clients do require flexibility, it becomes expensive, even in a productized environment. But most CAS practitioners that have an outsourced accounting service are saying, yeah, we can handle all that stuff, no problem. Clients don't like that ambiguity. They want clarity. They don't want the guesswork. And so if they don't know what they're paying for or what's included, they're going to question every invoice. They're going to scrutinize every interaction and wonder, like, really, is it worth the cost? So having clarity in what you're doing eliminates those doubts. I'm not saying that you have to have a menu-based price on your website or bronze, silver, and gold tiers. That's not necessarily the intended outcome. What we're trying to do is drive value and tie that to our expertise. But with that undefined menu, you're undervaluing that expertise. You're letting clients dictate the value. You're not spelling out the services with transparent pricing. You're not taking control of the narrative and your bottom line that comes with that. A big unintended consequence of not knowing truly what your services are is scope creep. And that can kill your firm. It can reduce your margins if you're not billing for things that your team is taking on because you're offering so much flexibility. It can be super challenging to drive profitability and growth and scalability into your firm. Having clarity around your services put guardrails around how your team operates, what's in scope, and then drives those client expectations. So here's what I think is the best plan in order to move forward to create some framework around your services. I've seen this done across a number of firms. We've implemented ourselves at Full Send, and really it's just a matter of listing out every single service that you offer. What are the variables that are included in those services, and then how do you deliver them? How do you rate them and communicate them to your team and to your prospects and your clients on what exactly you are doing for them? For us at Full Send, that is an internal document. That is a document that we utilize to create clarity in the services that we offer, to create clarity in the scope that we send to a client. But it's not something that we publish on our website. It's not something that we say, hey, this is how we do AR, this is how we do AP, this is how we interface with the client on inventory. But rather, it helps us define how we talk about what we do, how we drive the value, and then ultimately onboard a client with the services that they have opted into. There still allows for a degree of scalability into opting into other services. However, it's not a McDonald's price menu where it says A, B, and C, you get these things for this price. It is truly a value-based model predicated upon a deep services library. So what holds firms back from trying to articulate this? One is just a fear. It's fear of losing clients, fear of narrowing an audience, fear of committing to something that your team may not rally around. And so that fear, when you're getting more granular on how you deliver services and what services you offer, when you're communicating that to a client that historically you've served far and wide, high and low, they might be a little bit challenged by that communication. They may not want to hear specificity because they've enjoyed operating in this nebulous, moving, constant response, constant flex up and down environment. And particularly when you're in a fixed fee or value-based pricing model, that doesn't work super well. The other thing that could be holding you back could potentially be just there's so much that we do for clients. How can we possibly distill it all into a really concise document? I'm not saying that the document, the output of this exercise will be concise necessarily. For us, we've got about 130 or so unique elements of services that we offer, maybe 12 services, 130 elements of those services. And of those 130 elements, there's probably about 6 defining factors of how we can do things differently. So when you think about the vast nature of how all of that could combine to one service for a client, it can be overwhelming. But the first step is just saying, what do we offer? The second step is saying, what are the core characteristics of those services that impact our work? Maybe in AR, it's something like, are we invoicing on the client's behalf? Are we managing collections? What systems are we operating in? Is there an inbox that we're managing for the client? Those are different elements of a service that you need to create definition in to help provide clarity for your team and for your client. So I really do believe that having a clear service menu or library, whatever you want to call it, is a game-changing exercise for a firm to go through. It will help you attract the right clients. It will help you boost efficiency. It will help you drive revenue because the clarity happens across the board. And there's a feedback loop that goes into prospecting, that goes into sales, that goes into your scope, because now you understand what you're doing. And if you're able to drive this into a data warehouse where it's all connected and you know exactly how to send communications to your team based on a scope that was closed to help create efficiencies in onboarding, you are going to yield a better output in the delivery of your services post-close. So if you're not willing to sit and define your services, it may be really challenging to grow a modern CAS practice. I think the firms that survive the next decade will be the ones that embrace clarity and specialization and data to help understand how do we create a better relationship to drive value back to the client. It's really difficult to be hyper flexible and everything to everyone, because at the end of the day, you become nothing to nobody. So if you can become the best at what you choose to do, maybe it's a niche, maybe it's a specific service, maybe you drill down just a little bit to reduce that flexibility of the services that you offer, it will create a better feedback loop for your team and for your clients. Ultimately, the service library, the service menu, it's not just a tool. It's a mindset that creates a pervasive nature throughout the organization of this is how we do things. It's very well documented. We've got the right data. We understand how we will service a client really, really well. So it creates a mindset and a signal to your team, to your clients. You have confidence in what you do. You're prepared and you're focused specifically on the task at hand. The second you go outside of that and you get creative and you get super flexible, you start to create this really difficult place where your team isn't quite sure of what to do or how to operate, and your clients start to create this increasing expectation that you will service them when they ask you to jump. So today, sit down, write out what your services are, start to take notes on it, work with your team to articulate what are the certain elements of your services that you need to take into consideration to communicate to a client to better understand how to serve them. I'm a little bit fired up about this because I've seen a lot of firms not take this seriously. And it's really difficult when you don't have that core library of services of specifically what you do to create an understanding of how to manage that going forward. So I hope that's helpful. Till next time.